Well, I'm very concerned. I think we are well headed to a trade war. The European Union has already clearly said that they are going to retaliate against U.S. imports should we go ahead and impose aluminum and steel tariffs. And other countries, too, while they haven't been so direct, we can expect that they will respond as well in kind.
We're probably not surprised to see some negotiating tactics take place. There's been a sense from both political parties that America's gotten the raw end of the deal on many of these trade agreements and that we'd like to see renegotiation. Where do you think we cross the line from renegotiation into something that really concerns you?
Well, what concerns me now is that we have apparently introduced the steel and aluminum issue into the NAFTA negotiations and somehow have linked the two and have said, Canada and Mexico, if you're more forthcoming on the proposals we want to put forward in NAFTA, maybe we don't need to hit you on the national security grounds. Canada and Mexico are probably scratching their heads. They think they consider themselves close allies of the United States and don't really understand why they have been named under this national security tariff issue.
I kind of understand the linkage. It makes more sense to me when you link it, because when you're looking at our imports of steel, 16% come from Canada, only 2% come from China. But people that you talk to say China dumps their steel on the global market. They find ways of putting it into both Canada and Mexico, and then those steel imports to their countries wind up in our country through NAFTA. We've been talking about the rules of origin being something that are going to be much more tightly focused in the NAFTA negotiations, and if they were running into problems trying to get to those rules of origin, I can understand why this would come as an additional negotiating tactic. Do you think that there's something to be said for tightening up those rules of origin?
I think there's something to be said about tightening the rules of origin, but that's on their own merits. If we want to increase production in the supply chains between the three countries, then let's go ahead and tighten the rules of origin. But don't conflate it with national security reasons.
Hey, Wendy, were you listening earlier? I mean, you're at the Asia Society. I just want to get your comments on these, what's coming out of the Korean Peninsula and from South Korea and North Korea. I mean, what do you make of that?
I just heard what you just heard about a minute ago, and I think we all need to take a deep breath and let's see what actually was said and what this means. We've been down this road many times before, so let's take our time and see what it was actually said and what breaks today in the news.
I'll tell you that the two sides are going to argue about cause and effect on what's happening here. But how should we take it if we see someone say, you know what? For years, we've seen with trade, we've been, people have walked all over us on trade. North Korea, we've had no effective way of dealing with North Korea for 10, 15, 20 years. We've tried all this other stuff. Now you got Trump, who might be viewed by many as you're not sure what he's going to do on any given moment. And he's taken a very offensive posture in terms of North Korea and got a lot of criticism, from being bellicose or inflaming the situation. Suddenly, are they willing to come to the table? Is having someone that is offensive that way rather than defensive, is it possible that it bears fruit, maybe in North Korea, maybe with trade down the road?
Well, let me talk about trade. Let's see what happens. We just concluded the 7th round of the NAFTA negotiations. There have been no breakthroughs. We've made progress on the issues that have been under discussion with Canada and Mexico and addressed in the Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiations in the recent years. It's the new issues, the issues that the Trump administration has put on the table, where we still haven't seen any breakthroughs. So,
what if we did see one? Then would you say, wow, maybe it helps to be unpredictable when in negotiations where, with the other side is, if the other side knows for sure there's no teeth in anything we're going to do, and suddenly they're looking at this guy going, we have no idea what this guy might do. I don't know. It just, I'm just putting it forward because you're going to see it argued what brought North Korea. If they are coming to the table, Trump supporters are going to say it was because of treating them in a more aggressive manner, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, once again, we're going to have to see with respect to NAFTA. You know, we're close now to the deadline that the Trump administration has set for these negotiations, and there's still a lot of work to do, and it looks like the deadline will not be met. And in fact, these negotiations may go on throughout the remainder of the year and maybe into next year.
Wendy, real quick, what do you think is wrong with trade? If you could sum it up, we're running out of time, but is there something that needs to be done on trade? Because that's where you have to decide. Does trade need to be reconstructed and rejiggered, or doesn't it?
Well, clearly we need to do more on trade. We need to really address the unfair trading practices in other countries. And in that respect, China should be our main target right now, not going after our allies on steel and aluminum. We should present a united front with our friends and allies in the rest of the world and go to China and try to present a cogent case for opening their market, reforming their market, and allowing our companies to compete in that market in the same terms on which they can compete in our market.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.